What's
Hey,
up?
hey.
How you doing, girl?
I am struggling to keep my eyes open.
Well, we can make a quick night of it tonight if you need to. So we
For
started 2 minutes or 3 minutes late, so we
yeah,
uh,
I my I'm technically challenged tonight more so than usual
we-
because I'm tired. So there's that.
well, it's okay. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
no, we're good, but we are here. So welcome, Misfits Managed Nation. I missed you all last week, but I am back, and thank you to Coach G over here for taking the lead for me, taking the
What
solo lead for me.
what a powerful show though last week.
Yeah,
Abigail Freed was our guest, and it was part two, round two, set whatever you want to call it, of surrender and her sharing her story, and then how her life evolved from sharing her story to part two. Oh man, so it was a great time. It was a great session.
yeah. I got to listen to most of it. I think the next day,
Yeah.
I was really excited because I knew she was coming with some heat, and I was just sitting there like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Shout out to Abby. She always brings the heat. Her Micah,
Shout out.
a few
Yeah.
weeks before that, brought heat for 2 weeks. I know we've got Shannon coming up. I'm trying to build what we talked about today, a women's event to kind of put out here to empower women. So don't
Yeah.
worry, brothers. I'll build something for the brothers to the men. So, but this just happened to be the right time to put this out there for women. So we got
Yeah.
a group of women that's going to be powerful for us. So that'll be a great show.
Yeah, that'll be fun to have all those powerhouses
Hmm.
in the same spot because
Hmm.
they are indeed all powerhouses.
Hmm. Some good topics to talk on that. But hey, I'm excited
And
about today. Go ahead. You had something real quick.
so you don't miss that or anything coming, like, subscribe, and share everywhere because y'all know that you can't get enough of our crazy.
Well, and to your point, obviously everybody knows we're live on YouTube, Pod TV, Roku,
Yep.
Amazon Fire, LinkedIn, places like that. But starting next week, we'll be live on Facebook as well.
Yep.
So if we can figure out Instagram and
Yep.
um, TikTok, other stuff like that, we'll add that too. But it's awesome that now we're just expanding our reach and we're going to be able to touch more people and uh,
Yep.
which kind of forces our hand to dive deeper into our content. Look, Shannon's already here saying
Hi,
hello. What's up,
Shannon.
girl? She's flexing her muscles, showing
Yeah.
her heart. So thanks for being here, Shannon. But yeah, tonight, Lauren, did you have
Yeah.
anything before I jump into this?
Get jump in.
Jump in. Okay, so
Jump in.
Misfits Managed Nation. Tonight's topic is rebirth. And I'm going to do this from the perspective of an eagle, but I think if you're really listening and paying attention, um, really with your inner ear, your heart is listening tonight, you're going to be able to take some things away from this. And then Lauren's going to follow up that with some stuff that's been stirring in her heart over the last couple of weeks. And then we'll go into part two of this next week. So this is the only part I really prepared on rebirth was this story. But I think it will set the stage for what Lauren has to say to us tonight. So I want to talk about rebirth, obviously. The nature process that eagles go through is called rebirth. Okay. What is Coach G? What is the nature process that you're talking about? So the eagle lives for 70 years.
Seriously.
70 years. Yeah. This was powerful. When I read this, studied this, and
Whew.
then, broke it down. I got more breaking down of this to do, but man, does this speak to my life. Lauren, you're going to love this. And I
Oh,
think
I
the
bet.
audience is going to resonate with this. But again, the eagle lives for 70 years. Okay.
Okay.
Now, at the 40-year mark, the eagle loses the sharpness of its beak. Its feathers are no longer good and its talents are weak. we would probably say in humanity that's called a midlife crisis. You
Yeah.
know, when you hit your 40s, your 50s, then we aren't as sharp as we used to look. You know, our feathers are weak,
Hey.
so our outer appearance isn't what it used to be, and our talents are weak, just like the eagle. Um, so the eagle is now faced with a choice. It has a decision to make. The same choices that we face in life. We can either keep doing what we're doing, and obviously that's not working. It's broken. We've been doing that for 30, 40, 50 years now, and it's not working. Or we've reached a point where it's no, you know, maybe it was working and it's no longer working now, no longer serves us. And it's time for us to pivot or make a change. So the eagle is also faced with that same choice. Um,
Yep.
but if you have to understand, if you continue down that road, then you're gonna if you keep going living that way currently that you're currently living, you're gonna die a slow and sorrowful life. That's pitiful. And I feel like I'm thinking about my life. I hit a point probably around 45, 44, somewhere 43, 45, 44, where I hit this 40-year mark. And things that served me well now no longer served me. Things that excited me no longer excited me. Um, what
Micah.
about?
Micah says, I'm more like a fine wine. I've gotten better with age.
Oh my goodness. Let me go to the comments. Oh, I'm missing that. I didn't have my comments on. Micah's so hilarious. Thank you, Micah. But so I don't. The eagle has that choice. It can die
Yep.
slow, sorrowful, and really, I would say even painful death, or it can pivot. And what I mean by
Mm-hmm.
pivot or change, the eagle can isolate itself way up in the mountains. Okay, we always say isolation is a bad thing, and I think too much of isolation is a bad thing. But
Yeah.
sometimes sitting alone in the darkness is not a bad thing because there's
No.
things that we can draw, as we've learned over the last couple of weeks. Micah taught us that. Abby taught us that. We had some topics before that that taught us that. We learned jewels of the journey along the way. So there's some things that
Yep.
you can gain in darkness. But so the eagle is faced with this choice. It can isolate itself way up in the mountains, smash its beak against the rock until it breaks. So
Yep.
endure tremendous pain, wait until it grows back. And then once that beak, brand new beak grows back, then it plucks out its talents. Imagine that if you pulled out your fingers, your nails off your fingers. You know the pain that eagle is going through. Plucks out its talents. After it does that, then it plucks out its feathers. Yeah. So it has to endure tremendous physical pain. Then it stays in isolation until everything grows back. I feel like that's exactly what I did. In 3 years, 4 years of trauma, the journey of a warrior,
Yep.
I experienced all of these things in different ways. So when the process is done, so now the beak is now renewed and refreshed. The talons have regrown and are now sharp as if in its in youth again, and its feathers are now brand new. So now allows it to fly high aggressively and soar and do all the majestic things that an eagle does. Now it can live the last 30 years of its life. That process in nature is called rebirth. And that's what we're talking about tonight. I wanted to paint that picture because that's the eagle's way of being reborn, but I feel like it's mankind's way of being reborn. We go through the same process. Obviously a little bit differently, but we go through the same process. I bear witness to that because that was my experience. Now I have language, a story to put to my story. So Lauren, stage is set. Chew on
Well,
that.
here. Okay, so I gotta say this because we. I
I'm more like wine. I get better with age. Look at her.
Mike says her started at 38. Well, so um Gary and I always laugh at like how oddly like aligned our experiences are. And let me tell you all this. He told me he was going to tell a story, and I said, perfect, you do that. And based on the word rebirth, I was like, I think I can follow that up pretty well. And you're actually gonna love where I'm gonna take this, because
And mind you guys, I have no idea. I just told her
yeah, he has no
to
idea.
her point of what she just said. All I said is I'm going to tell a quick story, 5 minute
Yep.
story that sets the stage for wherever you want to talk, because she felt like she had a lot to say tonight. So, stage is yours.
So so my past, we're gonna say month, has been um tough, and it has very much been in um very much of an isolation stage, figuring out what things looked like. And there have been some things thrown at me that I um, wasn't expecting. Um, some of them great, some of them, we'll say, treacherous. But I very much feel like I've been in that spot of um, I've broken the beak off. I've
Uh-oh.
ripped the talons out, and I've been in the process of finishing plucking the feathers. I don't know if I'm done yet or not, but that very much has felt like where I've been lately.
You got to speak
Um,
to that because that's excruciating pain.
it is. It is. And um, honestly, it has shown in um honestly, I think it's shown in just enduring the, yes, anxiety. We all know I have bad anxiety. Um, it has been enduring the pieces falling where they need to, and enduring knowing that the new the new things are coming. And you hear a lot of pruning the bush and pruning the tree, pruning the plants and everything. And sort of the same thing. You gotta cut things off. You gotta get rid of it in order for the new growth to happen. I've talked about a phoenix a lot. My Harry Potter people out here, um, but
Which will be a point I'll talk about next week.
ooh,
Phoenix, because
okay, all
people
right.
say that all the time. I'm liking myself to the Phoenix, but to be a Phoenix, you got to burn.
To be a phoenix, you gotta burn,
You got to burn,
and
not just burn. You got to burn to ash.
you gotta burn to ash. You gotta be a pile of ashes, go up in flames. Um, so here's the funny part is that when I get stressed out, when I get to that point of the anxiety being at full throttle, um, all of those internal hormones come out, and honestly, usually my face breaks out. I look like a little teenager with all my hormones going through puberty. It's great.
Okay.
Um, well, my face has been breaking out, and I'm a picker, which is fantastic because then, well, y'all can visualize where that's going. But the other thing that has been super weird is that my skin has been like flaky and dry, and I'm like, how the heck do I like scrub this off?
Hmm.
See where I'm going with this? Um, it has literally been like shedding the old, shedding the nasty, getting the gross
Plucking out
out,
the feathers.
plucking out the feathers so that now I can really bring that out. And um all those things, you know, it is not pretty when it happens. Nobody likes a freaking face full of acne, and nobody likes all the crap that comes with it. But it is a physical thing that you have to go through in order for the new things to be formed. And so that has all been happening. And while that has all been happening, so it takes a long time for those things to come to the surface, to physically show themselves, right? It takes
Mhm.
a long time. Um, and knowing that that was probably coming, I'm like, okay, I got to figure this stuff out. I got to get some things under control. And as these, I've had, I have had to fully embrace what Abigail's been talking about, and
Surrender.
it has been a full thing of surrendering for me the past couple of weeks, because it has been I have so little control over what is going on. I don't have control over what anybody else does, what they say, what they say about me, their actions. All I can control is myself,
Mhm.
how I handle myself,
Mhm.
and um, how I how I come. I can't even control how I come off people, because I can only be me, right? But over the past few weeks, I have had to um like get so down in the grit with myself of um here's what I can control. um I've discovered some things that um really hurt, from a relationship level, from a trust level. um and I've had to mourn that. I've had to release that and then say, you know what, it is what it is. I'm not hanging on to this. But it does change the way that I handle myself, and it changes the trajectory of where I see myself and where I'm going. And all of that is coming together. Oh, Micah, look at that girl. Look at that. Yes. Um, if you can't see, Micah just
Micah's
put "let
comment.
them" in the comments, and my shirt says "let them." Um, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's syncness.
Yes. So, and that is honestly girl, yes, I like it. Um, and that is exactly where, honestly, it's kind of why I wore this shirt today. And so, all of that to say, I have had to let go of control of um a lot of different things. And part of it has been um yeah, what I can control, where I'm going, boundaries, all sorts of stuff. And it has been hard. It has been, but it has been okay, Lauren, like, look at all the things coming out. It is time to get a hold of on this and really figure out what is next. Here's the things that you've learned. Here are the things that um, have surfaced um, as you've followed me.
Mhm.
A lot of it has been obviously feeling the here's what you need to do, Lauren. Take this next step, Lauren. One foot in front of the other, Lauren. And um, I have faithfully done so. And there's a meme. Gary, I don't know if you posted it or not. Someone did, and it is literally, I think you might have actually, when you follow your faith and in the Lord's way, expect attacks. Actually, it might have been one of my coworkers. Anyway, squirrels. Um, and as this was all happening, that's all I could think about is as you follow in faith and as you follow in obedience, expect the attacks, um, expect people to come at you, expect difficulties and obstacles and everything else, like we always talk about. Expect
Mhm.
those things. Oh,
I agree with that to a point. When you are on the right track, when you are on the right track and going in the direction that you need to be
yeah,
going or destined to be going on, exactly that is the indicator for you
yes,
internally and externally that you're on the right path. When
yes,
you're not on the right path, there's no chaos, there's no trouble,
no,
there's peace, there's silence, quiet.
yeah,
So,
I
yeah,
just had a quick question for both of you, and it's actually along the lines of what you're talking about and everything. It might be a slight pivot, but not a total pivot and everything. And then I've got a joke for Lauren and everything that you'll enjoy based on one of her favorite quotes and everything along those lines. So I'll get to the joke later. But um, yesterday I had the pleasure, because as y'all know, sometimes I'm taping from home. Oftentimes I'm taping from home, but sometimes I'm taping from the job if I'm working on a Tuesday when y'all are airing and everything. And yesterday I actually went in because y'all know I'm usually there in the evening time, or if it's daytime, it's a weekend and everything like that. But I was there yesterday because they were having a regular staff meeting. But then after the staff meeting, we had what is basically amounting to a listening session. And it was definitely something that I think more companies need to do and everything, because it was a chance for us to make sure that we were aligned, which is something that y'all oftentimes talk about, and all along those lines and everything. So just wondering, did y'all's thoughts around that? Because I personally found it to be very relieving. We found some things that we uh, needed to communicate better on, like the way we're doing in terms of marketing and messaging and things along those lines. But we also found a lot of commonality, and I also found out that my boss can't stand whichever is the one where you're more in control. I think that's micromanaging. That she doesn't like to micromanage. She likes to let her employees develop their own programs and not try to control them according to her words, not my words and everything. But just as I was hearing you talking, I was hearing a lot of that conversation from yesterday, which was yesterday afternoon, because it was very much trying to make sure that you as a company are aligned, whereas y'all are talking about you as an individual. But I think both fit into what Misfits is about and everything. But I just wanted y'all's take on that, because as I took part in this exercise, because like I said, I just know they said come to lunch, you get free lunch. I'm like, I'm down for free food, so they said you get free lunch and everything. So I went for the lunch meeting since it was going to be in person. They wanted more people in person and everything, and there were still some of us that were virtual, but I did go in person, and then afterwards was when the listening session took place. And I think that even in relationships, you sometimes need to have listening sessions so you can learn from your spouse and everything, whether you want to call them that or not. But I was just wondering y'all's take on that, because we don't do it enough in the corporate world or even in the nonprofit world, because the company I work for is a nonprofit.
Lauren, are you
I
taking that or
well, I'll let you take it. I have one thing to say is I think that's a great thing to have as long as it is not controlled but managed,
Right.
because those can turn into massive vent sessions and unproductive really quick. So I think as long as it's productive and um, productive and managed, I think it's great for people to be able to voice opinions and everything, as well as just share things that are on their mind.
Mark? Go back to Jennifer's first comment,
Yeah.
the one at 8:25, because I feel like
Correct.
Yep.
that answers the question. Where she says, "This is amazing. As we go stronger and set boundaries, we have to break those chains, sometimes that means people." So as we're going through that process of rebirth, not only self,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Abby touched on this last week, where she had to not only make some modifications in herself, in her thought process. She stopped drinking. She became abstinent from sex. There's so many different things. The people even around her, she had to step away from and set new boundaries. So I love what Jennifer said there, that not everyone is made nor equipped to grow to the next level with you. And that's okay. From a biblical perspective, it reminds me when Abraham takes his beloved son, Isaac, up into the mountain that he had waited 25 years for. 25 years for, but the Lord said, slay your son, take his life. And in his obedience, he went up. But as they went up, they gathered all their stuff. I'll make the story short. And they're walking, they look up to this higher place, this cleft in the mountain. And the Lord said, this is the spot that I want you to go and sacrifice your son. And as they're gathering up the stuff to go up the hill to this place where he has to sacrifice his son, the servant, being the great servant that he was, wants to help his master Abraham. And what does he say? Well, master, let me get all these things for you. Abraham turns to him and says, no, stay with the asses. And he didn't say anything disrespectful there. What he was saying was, the level that I'm about to ascend to is only for me and my son.
Right.
And the pain that we endure so many times in our lives is there's levels that we need to ascend to that are just for us.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, the level that you're ascending to is just for you. The pain comes from when we try to take everyone else with us.
There's that thing. The other thing I was going to add, and maybe y'all can add to this because it plays into what y'all are saying. Sometimes you also have to understand your limitations. I told you, I'm down for free food. That's just part of who I am and everything. So I actually went to lunch with a good friend of mine who is a photographer and everything. And he's still my event photographer when we do the Road to the Apollo, which I've told y'all I've been involved with for decades now, or at least 10, 11 years. But he used to be an event photographer taking major pictures and sports photography, like for the Miami Dolphins and big concerts and everything. But he recognizes what we were talking about as we were having lunch today and everything, that he recognized that as the industry changed, he wasn't always going to get those big jobs. So he had to pivot. So now he takes photography for his wife as a real estate photographer, and he does some other side photography. But he realized that he wasn't going to get those big contracts anymore because they're not doing that. Everybody got a camera phone. He even said that everybody got a camera phone so they can take their own pictures. So unless he's going to get a big gig like a DPAC, which is one of our arenas, is going to hire him for a Donna Summer. Well, Donna's not living, but for like a major concert or something like that, he's not going to do it as much as he used to do it. I mean, he loved the heck out of doing it, but he also recognized that he had to pivot because the industry was pivoting. And that's something that he shared with me. He was like, no, I'm not getting those gigs anymore because now everybody got their cell phone. Why are they going to hire me when everybody's got the cell phone and can process their own pictures and everything? Now, occasionally he'll get those gigs, but he had to pivot in the industry.
No, that's pulling out your talents.
Say what?
That's literally pulling out your talents.
Right.
When we were talking about the eagle.
Right.
Yep.
And then Lauren, look at the encouragement. I mean, starting with Micah telling you to hold on. You're again talking about continue to grow and stay strong, and be that last one. Wow, be proud of where you started, where you are going, where you're growing.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I'm gonna turn it back over to you two and everything. This is where I was gonna tell that little joke and everything because you'll enjoy this. Because your favorite quote is whenever you go off on a tangent, and I know I go off on them as well. You'll say, and a lot of people do that if they think, because I think you think similarly to I do, Lauren, and everything. Tangents and everything. So you'll yell squirrel, and I actually thought about you yesterday, and this is what the joke was because I couldn't decide whether the squirrel was suicidal or incredibly smart because, as you know, I get around by mass transit and I saw literally a car coming down and I'm like, am I about to witness roadkill, which nobody really wants to witness in person and everything, or is this just like a super smart squirrel? So when the squirrel came up on the other side, I decided he was a smart squirrel because he knew how to time it and everything. Whereas if I had seen him being a squash squirrel, he might not have been that smart. So as I was joking with a couple of friends, I'm like, I'm not sure if he was a smart squirrel or a suicidal squirrel, but at the end of the day, he was a live squirrel for another day and everything. But I just had to tell you that.
That is funny.
Squirrel is your favorite quote and everything. So literally, as I thought of you when I saw the squirrel dart between the car, surviving in this case.
I would say either one is destiny.
Exactly.
There you go. Well, you know, I mean, squirrels have to get a little bit of road burn sometimes to learn the lesson, and I'm not a stranger to that. But going back to where I was in that story. It's been very interesting because as pieces have started to fall into place, and here's a kicker, because did I want to learn those things about the relationship, or did I want those things to happen? No. But it brought some things to the surface that I needed to know and I needed to see. And whether I wanted to see it or not, I had no choice. And I was talking with someone today, and I said, it really hurt to find those things out.
Yeah.
It really hurt because I valued the relationship. And, a lot of times we're in relationships, whether it be personal, professional, whatever it is. And things change. People change, whether you believe that or not.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes you start believing, you believe something for so long, and all of a sudden you learn something else, and you're just like, absolutely not. That they wouldn't have done that. And as much as people tell you and say, heads up, I've heard rumors, and I am not one to trust the grapevine. I am one to say, I'm usually the one to say, let's put it on the table and let's talk about it, because I want to hear it straight from you.
Well, it's
Uh,
biblical. It's how we handle conflict.
there you go. Absolutely. So, as this has all happened, all of this has been out of my control. I did things that um, I felt kept my integrity. I had to eat crow a little bit. I had to admit the fault, even though honestly, I didn't think um, there was anything. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. Um, and I didn't. I went about something in the wrong way. So I ate some crow. And while that was all happening, I'm like, okay, I'm reflecting on the situation. And I was really mad for a couple of days. And then I was like, it's really exhausting being this mad. Let's figure out, let's detach the emotion from it. We know I got lots of emotion.
Mhm.
I took the emotion out of it and said, what are the facts? What what is the logistical piece of this that I need to look at in order to move forward? And I did that. And I said, you know what? I'm really hurt that this is how the relationship has turned. I'm really hurt by the actions. I'm really angry at the actions, but I can't control them, their actions, and the actions now tell me a lot about the person, the relationship, um, some truths about the relationship, and because that all happened, it is now going to make it drastically easier for me to do what I need to do instead of trying to probably hang on to something that I thought was the right thing to hang on to.
Yeah,
Um,
I've definitely had that epiphany several times here.
and it
Yeah,
sucks. It sucks to have that epiphany. It
but
hurts. But
that's where the
man,
eagle. Yeah, that's where the eagle is sitting in that place
yes.
of isolation, in pain, in
Yeah.
agony. It broke its beak. It pulled out its talons. It plucked out its feathers. So it's just sitting there in
Yeah.
agony and pain, and it's excruciating.
Yeah.
But pain brings clarity.
Yeah.
But
And and I mean, in all honesty, I gotta say, within for the 24 hours after this all happened,
thank you for sharing.
um, I I could not hardly eat.
Mm.
I could hardly function because I was so upset and trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And I was in such a rock and a hard place between, um, is this my fault? Did I do something wrong? And I called a friend and said,
Phone a
talk,
friend.
huh?
Phone a friend.
Yes.
Phone a
Well,
friend, like the TV
I
joke.
mean, honestly, we all have to have those people that we call and we talk to that for me, it has to be somebody that knows me, knows my heart, but thinks differently than me and can say, let's look at this from a different angle. And I said, I need you to talk me off the cliff a little bit. Um, I need to bounce this off you, and I need you to give me the logistics. And I was like, I don't need you to tell me that I'm right or wrong. I need you to, I need you to talk me through
Perspective. Perspective is everything.
perspective, 100%. And she did that. And, um,
Good
and
friend.
yeah, and she absolutely did that. And it wasn't I mean, yes, she did tell me she thought that I was right. Um, Everybody loves to hear that, but it was also kind of like she did the very humble, like, um, I told you so without saying I told you so.
Okay.
Because I needed to realize it on my own, which good for her. But I also need those people to be real with me. And like sometimes you need people um to agree with you. Sometimes you need them to, hit the punching bag with you and be mad at you. Sometimes you need all those things. That day I needed both of those things. I
Yeah.
needed somebody to hit a punching bag, but also not necessarily tell me what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And she did that for me. And so as I thought about what she said for about 24 hours, I said, okay, logistically, I did nothing wrong. Logistically, there like there is nothing. And I'm sitting here thinking I was doing I followed exactly what God was telling me to do. And I yeah, there was nothing wrong. But the fact that something that small spurred something else decently big, I was just like, okay, really? You're not going to give me the benefit of the doubt with this, and you're not going to do me the same respect that I do for you and come talk to you about it. And there are two sides to every story. Come get context,
Right. Right.
and you can do whatever else you need to. I can't control that. But at least come get my side of the story
Mhm.
and get context. And as all of these things have happened, I am just like, okay, you know, I'm whether I have a magnifying glass on me or not, that's fine. I can't do anything about that. But I also did I I more or less corrected what I needed to do. And then I said, okay, that's all I can do. Now it's time for the pieces to fall where they need to, and it's time for me to do what I need to do, coming out the other side. But it allowed me to um, release something that I wanted to hold on to, and I needed the hard things to happen. I needed the pain to happen so that I could give one final yank of those dang feathers
Yeah.
and say,
Pull out the last talon.
like, let's go. Let's get the bleeding done. Let's let's get the pain going so that it can stop and that I can begin to regrow and get those get my sharp, fierce talons back.
I like that analogy. I don't know if y'all saw Shannon's quote, but I thought that was good. So sometimes you have to listen and sit in silence, or just have somebody sit with you and everything. Because you were saying that, I was thinking about a story that I shared with y'all about a past relationship and everything, where sometimes you don't want to listen, even though your friends are telling you that it's not for you, and all along those lines. And sometimes you want to ignore the warning signals. Because I told you that I've been in relationships where friends basically told me after the fact, we knew that that was going to be heartbreak and trouble and all along those lines. But if I could just add a little bit of other context, the flip side of that is that sometimes we are too scared of people's reactions and everything. Because even in newer situations that I have been in and everything, sometimes you are afraid of the reaction if people are used to you being with one type or one sort of person, and then you go in a opposite direction and all along those lines, because you're afraid of their critique, not understanding that
Yeah.
it's your life to live and everything. But sometimes we are afraid to step out. Speaking of that, I'm gonna use, instead of the bird, even though I love the eagles and everything, the butterfly. We're afraid to step into our new butterfly metamorphosis, because we all metamorphosize several times in our life, and we're afraid to metamorphosize into whatever the new you is, because you're afraid that you will leave people behind, or that they won't understand the choices you made and everything. Because they might have been like, say that you, because we all make stereotypes when we're young. I'll never be with the blue collar person, or I'll never be with the person that's younger than me, or I'll never be
Yep.
with the tattoo artist, or I'll never be with this and that. And that sounds good in theory when you're young, but sometimes fate and love, or whatever you want to call it, slap you in the face, and you wind up being opposite of the path that you thought you were going on. And then you're concerned as to how people are going to react, how it's going to impact those friendships that you have and everything. So I don't know if y'all got any thoughts around that, but I know that I've definitely stepped away from folks because I've been afraid that folks would be like, well, she got a dimple on the left cheek, and Mark doesn't even like dimples. So what's up with that and everything? And I'm being kind of sarcastic and funny in that regards, but they'll think of something that they thought that you would not go for, and when they find you going for it, they're like, wait a minute, I don't get it. What happened?
Well, I mean, I can speak to that because that's me. I've been there, done that. Where, well, look at Jennifer. Make the crooked path straight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, that's good. That's good. It kind of leads to what I'm saying too, though. That I mean, I've done that, and not just in several areas of my life, but in particular relationships, where I think one of the things that we haven't talked about in this, as you sit in this darkness, is you have to deal with your worth.
Yep.
That was another piece, and I got one more piece I'll throw in here after this in a sec, but that sometimes we would go back into those situations because of unworthiness. We didn't feel worthiness. So when I think about what Mark, just to your point, was relationships, that after I was divorced, went into probably the greatest relationship I'd ever been in my life. But because I didn't feel worthy enough to be in that relationship, I came out of it. I pulled myself out of it, went back to the toxicity, and went into a different toxic relationship. Encountered another powerful relationship, stayed in that, and I was like, oh man, again, same thing. I didn't feel worthy enough to accept that. So self-sabotage, pulled myself out of it again, and went back into another toxic relationship. So as you were just saying this, Mark, I'm like, oh my God, is this like the story of my life? But I've learned in that darkness that I am worthy. I had to sit with that. I think Jennifer or Shannon, I don't know who said that comment about sitting in it earlier that Lauren had spoken to.
Yep.
Now, Jenny's saying it now, sitting in is powerful. But as I sat in that, I talked about earlier, it allows you not only to reflect, but pain brings a clarity that you only get when you experience pain. And I've learned that on the backside of pain is some of the greatest things you could ever have or ever desire or want, because
Yeah.
it clears out all the bad things. But the point I wanted to get to, Lauren, was as you're talking, it's important is that I feel what I just said is this to me, but that word that we chew on all the time, I heard in your discussion that I'm going to have to add to next week's conversation when we talk about rebirth. you can't have rebirth without release.
Release.
Oh, it was so good. So I'm thinking about the things you said at the very beginning. You talking
Yep.
about the acne, your skin dry, unable to make decisions, stuff like that. That was me in a different form. But now that I've gone through the rebirth, I would say I'm the one coming out of the darkness. My talents have grown back. My feathers are brand new. My beak is strong and sharp, and I'm ready to fly. So identity has come. Purpose and destiny has settled in. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know where I'm going, what I'm supposed to be doing. Uh, Another word is alignment. Because I took that time of isolation. I think Abby talked about that a few weeks ago, last
Yep.
week, as a matter of fact. So because you took that time, she took that time of isolation, remember? And it brought forth alignment because she surrendered herself to the process and surrendered herself ultimately to the Lord. So that created space for me to walk into an absolutely beautiful relationship that I am worthy of in business, in romance, in finance, in every area of my life. I don't have to second guess that
Yep.
anymore because I've allowed time and space to release. And what's funny about that, Lauren, is circle of life that as we release, we're probably going to go through this cycle of rebirth a little bit down the road again because there's another level to go to.
Yep.
Sometimes that
Tonight.
sometimes that support is surprising you because, like I said, that newer friend, and like I said, it's a friendship because we've not even met. We're just like buddies on the internet or buddy on the internet waves and everything along those lines. But she actually surprised me actually earlier today and everything because she told me literally that she was and I'm sitting there going like, we don't even talk about business. We usually talk about other things. But she literally said, I'm praying for you to get some new clients because y'all know I do virtual stuff and all along those lines. I'm sitting there going like, that's not somebody that you would expect to have your back because it's a new friendship and everything. But that just showed me that they were being sincere in the creation of this new friendship because they were saying that they were actually wanting the business to take off in ever ways and everything. So it actually caught me off guard because, like I told y'all before, I consider myself more spiritual than religious. So when they said they had literally gone to church and prayed that new clients would come in, I'm going like, well, where did that come from?
Yep. Well, it's fun because there's a lot of times that, we get discouraged because we're like, well, a lot of times we can't see necessarily the difference we're making or who we're impacting or heck, who all is watching. And then you get comments like that you're not expecting. And it's like, oh, people are watching. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got to keep going because this person's, watching me. And who knows what they're going through that they need to see me power through this. They need to see, you're the example for a lot of people that you don't know about. And it is absolutely crazy because it is those hard times where you're just like, I don't feel like I'm making any difference, or I don't see anything. And then nobody says anything to your face.
But sometimes you can come into most unusual spaces and everything. There was a show that literally started on this network, and he went off and started his own network and everything. And I actually talked to him before. Actually, Coach G called me to say, "Mark, where the heck is this link?" and everything along those lines and everything. But he literally, Zach was. I had two calls because my phone had been on dead. It was Coach G and Zach. And the reason I'm bringing up Zach is because Zach kept his network going. He's gone through some troubles. I've kind of alluded to him before because he's gone through divorce. His kids are somewhat estranged, and there are a number of other things that are going on. But the reason I'm bringing him up now is just what you said, is that he was out in a local place here in Durham because he does a show on his own network that used to be here on Pod TV called Funk from the Front Seat, and he was getting something from like a senior center because it was like, I think he was getting whatever VA or drugs that you have to get to deal with his various things that are going on in his life and everything. And the woman literally stopped him in the tracks, and he shared this with me. And she was like, "You're that dude that does that show from the front seat." And he was like, "Wait a minute," because he had no clue. Because I was like you, sometimes he has no idea that anybody's watching or listening. So she stopped him and was like, "You're that guy? Yeah, I watch you because this show is on Saturday. I watch you every Saturday at noon, around noon, or I try to catch you when I can and everything." So he just was sharing that because that let him know that somebody, because whether you're reaching one person or 1,000, I think the key is that we try to reach who we can and get them to whatever relief, and whether that is one person or 1 million, that's the victory and everything. So when he shared that with me, that's what I'm sharing with y'all now on Misfits. I was like, yeah, that's a victory for that show, and I'm sure y'all have similar things where you're probably walking down your street in Kansas, because I know both of y'all are in Kansas, and somebody might be like, "Hey, we see Misfits every once in a while," and y'all are going like, "Yeah, you mean there's actually people watching and everything?" So that's why I brought up his show in this conversation that we had.
Yeah.
Hey, Lauren, look at Micah's comment there at the bottom at 8:52.
Oh yeah, I got it.
I know that sigh. It's important to remember that the seasons always change.
So after I finished my statement, what did you do? She caught you.
Oh yeah, I had a huge sigh.
She
I
caught
know I did. You know,
Speak to that. Speak to that.
Well, I mean, there's two sides to that, because it's frustration that you want to be in that next stage, and nobody wants to feel that frustration. Nobody wants to feel the pressure of that season, but we have to. It'll happen at all times. The other comical piece of that for me is that right now, I'll throw this at you, I feel like the air is so thin that I can't breathe very well. Part of that is the anxiety, but it's a piece of me where I'm like, oh, deep sigh. I could take a deep breath.
Shannon's on track with you.
Yeah.
But
feeling limbo isn't fun, but needed. Absolutely.
And I was going to actually play to that to some degree, because when she's talking about that limbo, and even what y'all say about seasons, I was actually I hate to bring up people in my neck of the woods, which is Durham and everything, but I was actually amazed that there was a young lady earlier this month that celebrated an amazing birthday. So we talk about seasons because, generally speaking, most of us, if we are fortunate according to timelines, will make it to maybe 75, 80. I think that's what the going rate is and everything now in terms of life expectancy for most individuals and everything along those lines. But then when I heard about Catherine Fennell, I believe is her name, that literally earlier this month, I believe it was the 12th, literally turned 112. And when I saw the picture, it doesn't look like she's going anywhere, and it looks like she's trying to get there even further. So is that she's got a bonus season, or is it just that she has lived a life and has continued to live a life, and who knows, maybe she'll be 115 or 116, because I think that's the oldest record of people on Earth and everything in terms of modern day times or Western times and everything. But it's just amazing when you hear about these people that are living these kind of long lives, because when you think of seasons, we think of winter, spring, summer, and fall, and if that's life, then that's the 4 seasons of life. So if she's 112, then that means maybe her season was every 30 years versus every 25 for the rest of us, or every 20 for the rest of us, because like I said, she's now probably in her winter season and everything, but it would be a extended winter season, or maybe it was just that she had a longer winter.
Well, the eagle has one season of rebirth. Who says that we as humans can't have multiple seasons of rebirth? So let's see, what is Micah saying?
She says, "Girl, I've been praying to skip straight to God's arm in the season of 2. I call it the void, and it usually comes around during a lesson in detachment, which you've spoken so well tonight." So she said, "You've got this and this too. She'll pass."
Yeah, I love that your girls are rallying around you
here. Mark, I just sent you something, and it's the picture I was talking about earlier, and I love it because it is armor, because we got to put on the armor. Sometimes that is the figurative faithful armor, but I love this visual because it it's just powerful. And the
Keep on talking. I'm trying to pull it up right now so that the rest of the folks
come
can
on,
see it.
Mark.
I'm working on it.
The shots come, the attacks come, and you put on the armor to know that it will bounce off. And the phrase that I have lived by, especially in that 24 hours and beyond, the thing that kept going through my mind when I hit that rough 24-hour angry patch is, no weapon formed against me will prosper.
You know, that's my word I live by. You know, that's my phrase.
Yes,
Isaiah 54:17.
Yes, and it is mine as well, and I've given it to so many people. But
there you go, your image.
All right. Yeah. Found that on good old Google. Yeah, if you decide to follow Jesus, expect enemy attacks. And it is literally a knight in some type of armor with his shield up, and it looks like flaming arrows coming at them. But I love that visual because I mean, it's also kind of like the Matrix, Neo, standing there with all these bullets coming at him, and all of a sudden they stop. And I mean, y'all better know the scene of him picking out the bullet, dropping him, and then they all fall. No weapon formed against me will prosper. The attacks will come if you follow in those footsteps.
That's the beauty of the phrase. It's not,
yeah.
God is not saying, because that's scripture, Isaiah 54:17.
Yep.
He's not saying the weapons won't be formed. He's not even saying the weapons won't be fired against you. He's not even saying the weapons sometimes might penetrate the armor that you talk about and hit you, because they will. Some of the fiery darts are going to hit you.
Yeah.
What he is saying is they won't prosper.
Yeah.
Because the enemy's goal is still kill and destroy.
Yep.
And the fact, Lauren, that you're still standing, that you're still breathing, and you're still moving forward, looking upwards, you're progressive, means the enemy didn't win. You're walking fulfillment of that scripture.
Yep. And believe me, there have been many times that in the past couple of years especially, that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be faithful in what I'm being called to do here. And then I'm gonna just watch the action around me as I put one foot in front of the other, do what I know I am needing to do, regardless of anybody else's actions. And obviously, time and time again, the shots get fired. You know, I get wounded, I heal, and I come out the other side, and you keep moving forward.
Good stuff. Look at Shannon's comment.
If you don't know that scene, we need to talk. Oh, that was Micah. Shannon's above that. I've said
Go back to Shannon.
I've said that I'm in the downhill slope of this particular journey, but there are still speed bumps and potholes to avoid if possible. Yeah, and sometimes there is grass and whatever covering the potholes, and you still step in them and sprain your ankle or twist it a little bit.
I gotta shout out to her because she is yet to come on the show, and I know we'll have her on the show.
Yeah.
She just overcame, and I'm not going to steal her thunder,
okay,
but she's overcome a major setback and is moving more into a space of victory now. And I mean, that's for Shannon to share,
Well,
But
congratulations, Shannon.
yeah, just we got to shout out some kudos.
Yeah.
Because in the darkness, she's been chewing on what we're teaching every week, and she's used that to strengthen her in her journey. That is powerful when she tells it. I'm just telling you.
Speaking of major
All right.
setbacks, and I know y'all were not even thinking y'all were going to do a whole hour, but since the month is almost over, and since I have another dear friend that has been in this battle for a number of years, and all along those lines, I will shout out to the women that I know that are dealing with and have battled breast cancer, because this was Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all along those lines. And like I said, I have known some women, including a dear friend of mine in the singing community, Miss Sharon Allen, that has been a long time remission survivor, and I think she had mastectomy or some of the other things that you women go through, but she is still a long time survivor and all along those lines. So she would probably fit in that Misfits category, because she is multi-talented as both an artist, a singer, and a number of other things, but she is also a breast cancer survivor. So I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we are winding down, because Halloween is in 2 days and everything, but it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October. So I just wanted to shout out.
Yeah.
And don't sleep. Man, don't sleep, because men do get breast cancer as well. A lot of times we forget that and everything, but it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that on y'all's show and everything, because I think it's important to acknowledge certain things, including our health.
Absolutely. Well, and with that, it is time to wrap up, and I feel like we got a whole nother. I pretty much ended up taking over in this. So
That's okay. That's the plan.
I think we got another round of rebirth that we got to dig more into all that Gary shared with it first, because that's deep.
That's set the stage, but there's so much more. You're right.
Yeah.
And now we got to add release to it.
Yeah, you got to add release. Rebirth is a wonderful thing y'all were joking about, and I'm finding y'all's ad and everything, which I just found. We just got Lauren's lovely voice, so we'll continue with Laura's voice as we get ready to get out of here, along with some mental health and all along those lines and everything. But yeah, as y'all was thinking about Rebirth, I was thinking about there's a good blues band. I think they're the Rebirth Brass Band, so they are definitely giving them a shout out. That they are all about rebirth as well and everything. I think they're in New Orleans, if I remember correctly. I think that's the name of them, but I'm sure it's all about rebirthing. And I was actually thinking about a festival that we have here, because just like Kansas City and Tulsa isn't that far from y'all and everything, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that there are these Black Wall Streets and Wall Streets in general and everything. And one of them in my neighborhood is called the Phoenix Festival and the Phoenix Shopping Center, because it literally was born out of the ashes of a destroyed community. So just like houses and people can be reborn, neighborhoods can be reborn as well. So that's why they call it the Phoenix neighborhood, because they were reborn from the ashes of what was a prominent neighborhood, then a destroyed neighborhood, and then they rebirthed it. So they intentionally called it Phoenix for that exact reason, because they knew that they were coming up from the ashes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about Phoenix too next week.
Ooh, yeah.
That's why I gave you the segue. Then a little bit more context. Cool. And on that note, I'll play this lovely commercial about y'all's organization and everything, and then we'll probably get out with some mental health. Mental health is important, and y'all always talk about mental health.
Another great show of Misfits Managed. This has been your boy, Coach G.
And Lauren.
And their producer, Mark. And we're going to get on out of here. Great conversation.
Hey, Misfits Managed Nation. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I so appreciate you. I know Gary and I both appreciate you. I wanted to let you know, though, that being a misfit doesn't stop here. It is a piece of you, and it is a piece that we have to live with every day. But the good news is we can make good from being a misfit, even though it is chalked up to being a bad thing. Let's talk about how to make being a misfit is good. Let us talk about being a phoenix and rising from the ashes. And I want to help you do that through Forged by Fire. That is how you can work with me. And we would do coaching, we can do consulting, we can do one-on-one or group. I also do speaking opportunities. But let's get that inner misfit shining the way you were meant to.
It's just need to be left alone right now, man.
No, Cam. I think the problem is that you've been left alone way too much.
Life's hard. The world is complicated.
Remember, you are not alone.
Love you, girl. I love you too.
Mental health challenges are common, treatable, and often preventable.
It's time to talk about it.
It's time to defy the fear and stigma that has made so many suffer in silence.
Instead, dare to love yourself and others.
Dare to ask for help and support. You guys.
Dare to listen and show up for the people around you.
Join the conversation.
We are sending you signals every day.
We are sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
We're sending you signals every day.
I'll be feeling sad, but you're too busy to notice.
We are sending you signals every day.
I'll tell you that I'm feeling afraid,
But you'll just tell me everything's okay.
I'll get real angry about something, but you'll take it personally.
we are sending you signals every day. My grades will drop, and you'll yell at me for not trying.
I stopped caring about how I look.
And you didn't even notice.
We are sending you signals every day.
I don't see my friends anymore, and you think it's good that I'm always home.
We are sending you signals every day.
I'll tell you, I wish I could go to sleep and never wake up.
And you tell me to stop staying up so late.
We are sending you signals every day.
I need you to look.
I need you to listen and ask me if you can help.